I was thinking of it as well in terms of romantic relationships. One little white lie becomes another little white lie, and then a couple of, a year passes and you're so unaligned and so far from your truth that you're resentful that you're having to keep up with this set of lies. I mean, we've talked about it with a guest on this podcast before. One of the mistakes I made in my relationship at the start was I would say yes to things that I didn't like doing.
Yeah.
So I created this culture and this like expectation where my partner thought I loved doing X activity at 6 a.m. in the morning because I'd always said yes and I'd always pretended to like it. Now I have to live out that life of something I do not enjoy doing because I lied at the start. And the journey back is not always so easy when you've persisted.
I've made the same mistake on the other side, which is after I broke up with someone, when we maintained a friendship and I started dating somebody, or at least started dating, but I didn't want to hurt the feelings of this person that I still care about that we broke up, a couple months before. And so I would avoid the conversation, but if she said, "Are you dating anybody?" I'd say, "No, not really." And it's not because I wanted to lie, it's because I don't want to hurt her. Like the intention, of course, is positive. But what I learned later is all of those little lies meant that she was holding out hope that wasn't there. And by the way, it's been done to me as well. I'm holding out hope that's not there because someone didn't want to hurt my feelings. And I would rather just have the uncomfortable conversation. "Are you dating somebody?" "You are." "Okay, well that hurts, but I can heal. I can move on." And, again, this young generation, because of all the reasons we've talked about and more, seems to exhibit the traits of being very conflict avoidant, very uncomfortable with uncomfortable. That has some impact that are sometimes funny, quote unquote, but always tend to make somebody feel more lonely. So for example, and I've seen this happen, I've heard about these stories so many times, a young employee who may feel they're in line for a raise, but is so uncomfortable to go to their boss and ask for a raise that they just quit, that they would rather quit than have an uncomfortable conversation. And then sometimes it is followed by an angry email that says, "I'm undervalued, you don't appreciate me, you underpay me," And I've heard it happen so many times where the leadership is like, "What? We would have happily, like, I'm sorry, we were either planning on giving you a raise, we'd happily give you a raise," And it's really uncomfortable to walk in your boss's office and be like, "Hey, I'm working really hard. Can I have a raise, please?" Now, the time you do get to quit is when you've had this conversation 4, 5, 6 times and you've seen nothing and had no feedback and had no impact. Then absolutely you quit. And absolutely you say, "You undervalue me, you underappreciate me, we've had this conversation 5 or 6 times." Then it's their fault because they had all the information. But again, it's really funny how many young kids would rather quit than have a difficult conversation, or they'd rather break up than have a difficult conversation, or worse, they'd rather ghost someone than break up with them. Because it's really uncomfortable to have a fight and a breakup and call each other names. It's much easier to just turn off all the social media, unfollow everywhere. I know we've been dating for 6 months, but I'm just going to now ignore every text, ignore all your calls, and think about it we talk about service. Think about the service or disservice we do the other person. From their point of view, it's like you got in a car accident.